That's why it's important to work out all the kinks. Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. If you happen to be listening this hour, you already know what I'm about. I'm about starting early. I'm about getting things ready to roll early. Let me check all the platforms. Another episode, tackling turnover with teamwork. Let me go check Facebook real quick, make sure the all right, Facebook, we all good. We all good. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Good morning, Facebook. Let me go check LinkedIn. LinkedIn should be good on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we good. Good morning, LinkedIn. Good morning. You guys see the topic. All right, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Probably the main platforms that I whirl with. Very Googleable these days, you know what I mean? As one, we Google the name as one Crookshank. Your boy is officially listed as a public figure, so don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you. Press upon you that regardless of the views and the likes and all the other vanity metrics that a lot of people pay a lot of attention to, if you commit yourself to produce content day in and day out, and if you lock in and produce it without the oh my god, I got to get this like, I got to get that like, if you make the commitment, things work out. Okay, and it's important that you understand that. All right, here we go. All right, good morning, beautiful people. Good morning. As one, Crookshank here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator, the founder, the creator, the person that, or I don't want to say the person because there's a lot of people that talk teamwork, but the only person that you're going to hear from that has an innovative, the most innovative approach towards teamwork that you'll find on the internet. There's a lot of people talking teamwork, but no one talking about it the way I talk about it, which is what makes me unique. And I start off with that just in case there's anybody that's new to me. Welcome to the Move Swiftly show. Welcome to the whole Move Swiftly philosophy and what we do here. The shortened version of what we do here is we take the lessons from sports, more in particular football. We take those lessons, the teamwork lessons in particular, and we align them with business, and we create opportunities for business owners to have a very cohesive staff, to create a culture that's very favorable to I don't say favorable, but very much like a championship high school football team where you get people come in, you're getting your staff come in, you're getting your employees to come in, and they feel like they really are a part of something. They feel like they're being challenged every day. There's particular measurables, all that kind of stuff is what we teach here in the Move Swiftly world. So before I get started, we got a absolutely fantastic show for you today. There is a lot of ground, a lot of things that I have to cover, a lot of things I have to get to. So before I get started, let me just let you guys know, let me get through these announcements real quick. First things first, if you are in the West Palm Beach area and you have not yet signed up for free boxing lessons and you'd be interested in it, we are starting that officially on November 23rd, which is about 5 days from today. Again, they're totally free. We're going to be doing it every 2 weeks, and I can run the whole show. I could talk the entire show. I could talk for this full hour about the benefits that are going to come from you learning how to box, learning your own ones and twos, learning your own combinations. I've personally seen it in so many situations. I've seen how it develops confidence. I've seen so many people who had this type of personality, had lacked confidence before they learned boxing, and started to develop their own skills, and their confidence grew. So Very, 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 very. If you are interested in that, just hit the QR code or message me, and I'll get you all the details. And this is more for the people that are located in the West Palm Beach area. Next thing, business owners that have yet to get their free guide. You'll go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Yours truly created a 10 step system on 10 steps on, I don't want to say steps because you don't have to necessarily do them in order, but 10 of the best things that you can be doing right now, that you could be implementing in your business right now, that'll lead to a staff that is very connected, that is working in a very cohesive manner, which you can start implementing and start to change the culture, change the energy, change the way you go about doing business, it's kind of the trajectory. And if you haven't gotten it yet, it's a free guide, make it move. Simply, it'll take you it'll take you about a minute and a half to put your information in, send an email and all that kind of stuff, and you'll be getting that free guide. So those are the announcements for now. As what we're going to be discussing today. All right, we're going to be talking about what we actually consume. All right, a lot of what we discuss is going to be about your decisions and what we do. Again, if it's your first time tuning into what it is I do, everything that I talk about, a lot of things that I talk about, is going to be about accountability and making sure you're doing the best that you can do in developing what you are all about, developing your ideas, developing your philosophy, developing your reputation, developing everything that you are about as an adult. And you're developing yourself to make yourself a better teammate, because we all need teammates. We all need to be working with each other. We all need to figure out how I can help fix the problem, what you can be doing to be the solution for whatever problem you may be facing today. All right. So we're going to be discussing the importance of quality television and quality competition. All right. You see the title. It's quality television and quality competition. Quality television, it's about what you consume, what's going in your mind, what's creating your philosophy, what's leading to your subconscious mind and all that kind of stuff. And the quality competition, how much that actually helps you develop, how much that actually is going to make it so you are continuously developing. However, so before we get into that, what we do, because it's a Monday, the lead-in is going to be the Make Your Move kickoff question. And you see what the kickoff question is. Who is going to win what conference is going to win the national championship this year? That is the kickoff question. I'm curious to hear what your answers are. Just put them in the chat. I don't know where you're listening to this from, but put it in the chat. Message me. It's all over. I posted it all over my socials today. What conference? I'm recording this November 18th, 2024. And you can't be at this stage. You can't be a wimp about it. All right. You got to make your pick. See who is going to make your pick, and you got to stand by your pick. You can't be flip-flopping around. The playoff picture is pretty much set at this point, and we got to figure out. I'm curious to hear what your answer is on this. So for those, if this is your first time tuning in, this is how this works. All right. I pose the question on Monday, and then I give my answer and what it is I believe, just based on my knowledge and the amount of years I've spent watching the game, playing the game, scouting the game, coaching the game, being involved in this game, building this whole framework, this whole idea based on what I've learned in this game. And myself, I grew up in Maryland. I am a huge fan of the Michigan Wolverines football program, the Michigan Wolverines football team in particular. And I am an ACC, Big Ten ACC guy. All right. I love those two conferences. Those are if it's not Michigan, I do like to see Florida State do well. Again, I'm from Maryland. So, before Maryland went to the Big Ten, they were in the ACC, and that's when they won their national championship in basketball. So, Big Ten, ACC, I'm all about it. And I am admitting to you right now, I am on camera on my show saying this, that the SEC is bringing home a natty this year. That is my response. And I know I'm living out here in Florida now, and I'm around a lot of SEC folks, and I know they are smiling if they're listening, because I'm actually having to admit, because I watch the games. All right, I'm not just your fan that's out there putting out BS. I actually watch the games and I analyze it. At times I take notes as I'm watching, because I know I'm on camera a lot and I speak a lot, and I've taken it upon myself to give an educated opinion on what's going on, because you're not getting it in the national media. The mainstream media is only going to be talking in terms of clicks and likes, and they're only going to be talking about the quarterback and the head coach. When we're talking football, they're just looking at stats and all that stuff. So I've taken it upon myself to give quality advice, to give quality educated opinions. And I believe that the University of Georgia's football program will be winning a national championship this year. That's the third national championship. That would be the third national championship that they've won in the last like 5 or 6 years or something like that, whenever Kirby Smart has gotten to Georgia. Let me tell you why. We're going to get into the weeds and how this kind of relates to the overall topic, but tell you why. I've watched them play against Alabama at the beginning of the year, watched them play against Texas, and watched them lose to Ole Miss. And this past week, I watched them beat Tennessee. All right. And when it comes to the playoffs, everything is wide open. I learned this very, very early on in life, is that when you get through the regular season, your record now becomes 0-0. And when all that and I get these Oregon fans, I get the Oregon fans, right? Oregon is number one right now, and they're really dangerous. They're really high powered. They have a great quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, incredible talent. Have incredible talent at the wide receiver position. The defense is a defense, right? For years, Oregon had a high-powered offense, but the defense used is just terrible. But they bring in Dan Lanning, who used to coach at Georgia. Now the defense is really shored up, and they look like they got it. They're undefeated. They've won close games and all that. However, Oregon's very beatable. Oregon's incredibly beatable. Me as a Michigan fan, I watched from start to finish. I watched the Michigan game from start to finish, and it's one or two plays here and there that makes that game really, really interesting. And right now, Michigan lost a ton from graduation. Not graduation, but they lost a ton to the NFL. It's a brand new regime, brand new coaching staff. Again, we as the Michigan Wolverines faithful, we're having basically a bye year. We're still kind of on last year, and it was expected. I didn't expect it to be this bad, but I watched them really, play a decent game against Oregon, and had it not been for some plays here and there, again, Oregon to me, even though they're undefeated, they haven't proven that they're the best team. You get a team that if they match up against a team like Georgia that has played against the Bama, they, played against the Texases already. They have, and recently they just played against Tennessee, where Tennessee came out smoking. They were the 7th ranked team. Tennessee came out smoking. Georgia weathered the storm. You saw the resilience in that program. You saw the resilience amongst the coaches, amongst the players. Whenever it gets into that tight game, I gotta roll with the Georgia Bulldogs. As much as that actually pains me to say, I just gotta be honest. So that's the kickoff question. Leave your response in the chat, or just message me what your response is and all that stuff. So as far as what we're going to discuss today, all right, we are discussing the element of the concept of quality TV. And before I get into a few clips that I'm going to show you guys, I gotta explain what has happened over the past couple decades when it comes to television and the way we consume what we want to consume, how we go about consuming certain things, and what is quality television and what is not quality television. Because now we have our option. We have our choice to watch whatever it is we're going to watch on our apps. We're not being force-fed certain narratives. When we disagree with someone or disagree with this person, we could simply turn off the channel, or go to another video, or go to another stream, or whatever it is. We have our option when it comes to what we consume and the quality that's going into our brains. All right, so there's still some reaction from this election. There's probably going to be reaction from this election all until for the next 4 years, because this is what it is. It's politics. It's just like politics, religion, sports. This is an ongoing thing. It's going to be people who have their opinions. They have their side. They pick their side, and they're not going to move from their position. It's just the way it is. Once you get to a certain place in life, once you have a certain mindset in life, there's no convincing you that you're wrong. There's no, okay, hey, maybe if you look at it a certain way, the people that I look to attract into my world are the people who can admit, hey, I was wrong about this. Let me learn this. Let me learn that. Let me get better. But the people who I would be happy to go turn on to move on from me, I would be happy to just say, hey, look, get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language. I'm working on my cousin, but I want to make sure I'm making my point. The people who I'm happy to leave my world, that I'm happy to dismiss from my world, are the folks who continue to push narratives that lead to victim mentality, that continue to run in the victim Olympics. All right. That's who I don't want. And I think that's really, really important as well for you to understand when you're talking about owning a business, when you're talking about building a platform, when you're talking about offering a service. It's important for you, just as important as it is to know who it is you want to serve, it's just as important for you to know who you want to get out of your world, because these people that come into your world and they mess it up, they ruin it. All right. Again, I'm Mr. Innovative Teamwork guy. You can look me up and you'll see how much I talk teamwork. When you're talking about teamwork, when you bring in, it could be just one person. It can literally be just one person with the wrong mindset, that doesn't have the right, isn't gelling with the team, is constantly making it all about me and how I'm a victim and how I didn't do this and I didn't get that and all that. It could be just literally one person, and your entire business is ruined. Your entire the thing you have built and the thing that you've worked for is ruined. So I'm going to play you two clips that'll give you an example of what I mean when I say non-quality television. All right. And the sad part about these clips is that, let me just play the clips and I'm gonna respond to it. I'm gonna play this first one, and then I'll respond to it, and then I'll play the next one.
About these all the time. My birthday dessert today was one of my mom's favorites from when she was a kid. And she talked about these all the time. They're called Charlotte Russe. And it's a sponge cake with whipped cream and a cherry on top. Now, I should tell you, Charlotte Russe has no political leanings. And the place that made these refused to make them for me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What? Oh,
No. Let me explain. They said that their ovens had gone down, all kinds of stuff, but folks went and got them anyway, which is why I'm not telling you who made them. But can't be because I'm a woman, but perhaps they did not like my politics.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because you know what? Listen, this is my mother's celebration.
Yeah.
Pick these up and celebrate with me and my mom.
She tried to spin it like she.
Now, well, first of all, shout out to Anton Daniels. Again, it's somebody that I discovered, me personally, through this election. I'm actually going to be joining his Patreon link and all that. And I strongly recommend, especially if you're in my world and you newcomers to my world, strongly recommend you also subscribe to Anton Daniels stuff as well. That's the one who was commentating on that video. But let me just give you some backstory of that. That's an example of non-quality television. All right. And the scary part about it is the fact that there are people clapping. The scary part about it is the fact that there are actual people who watch that nonsense. And those are the people, again, if you agree or if you take in the view and you watch these cackling ladies just gossip and push these false narratives, if that's what you do all day, again, get the fuck out of here. I don't want you in the world. I don't want you in this space. I don't even want you bringing that type of energy into my world. All right. But the point is, let's just break down what you said, because she provided an excellent example on what not to be listening to, on the ability that we have as of 2024 to no longer allow that narrative to affect our kids and no longer allow that victim mentality to affect the work that we do within our own businesses. All right. So let's just take her at her word. Let's just take her exactly what she said. I should let you know that this particular bakery, which is family owned, all right, we called to get cupcakes or whatever for my birthday, and they wouldn't serve it to me. All about me. Pretty much what you said in a nutshell. I didn't quote her directly, but that's pretty much what she said. She started off the statement by saying they wouldn't serve them to me. She knows she's a black female. She knows she's on national TV. Unfortunately, she knows she has a very, very huge audience. And she says that statement in a way that alienates the audience and alienates the ladies that she's sitting next to initially make them feel like, oh, they're not serving her because of her color and her gender and all that. It couldn't, because of that. So immediately she tries to backtrack it when the girl next to her spits out, which is again incredibly disgusting and just classless. The fact that a woman's spitting out her stuff on national TV, again, that's disgusting in itself. But she then tries to backtrack it and say, oh, it can't be because I'm a woman. Maybe it's because of my political affiliations, where this is a small business. They ain't got nothing to do with Democrat, Republican. Nothing about your political affiliations have anything to do with anything. All right. That's what's ridiculous. Where do you pull the political affiliations out? This is a business. This is a small family owned business. They don't care what you are, who you voted for. They are more interested in taking your damn money. And on top of that, if you want to go down the route of political affiliations, wasn't it not just the woman that you have supported, which is Kamala Harris, who has talked so much about how much she appreciates and respects and wants to do a lot of things for small businesses. So even if that was the case, you would have gotten the support from this small business, given your stance on politics and all that kind of stuff. So this is just you again alienating your audience, making your audience feel like you're a victim, even though you're Whoopi Goldberg. The world knows you. You're famous. You have You've done very well for yourself. Have done a ton of movies. You have enough money than most people. You're probably in the top percentage of earners in this world. You have what you need. Okay, you're not going broke, and you again put yourself in this victim mentality. So your audience, and this is what I was telling you guys last week when I was talking about the topic was relationships over religion, and I was discussing the race hustlers out there. This is what I mean when I say these race hustlers are really, 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 really good at what they do. And if you spend too much time buying into it, if you spend too much time consuming their bullshit, eventually you will find yourself in this world, in a situation where you start looking at yourself as a victim, where you start saying to yourself, okay, maybe I'm a victim. Maybe because I'm a woman of color, I'm not going to get cupcakes from this bakery and all this kind of stuff. So I'm so glad that we live in a world. I'm so glad that we live in a world where there is social media, there is live streams, there is an opportunity to build platforms like this, because this bakery, the owners of this bakery, they did a press conference. I swear, I can't make this stuff up. I don't come up with this stuff out of my, these are actual things that happen. All right. The bakery that she's referred to in Staten Island, New York, and I went to school in Long Island, New York. I'm familiar with the New York area, right? The bakery, a family-owned bakery, did a press conference responding to this narrative that she created. So I'm going to play that. I'm going to play this for you, and then we'll discuss it.
And I think the bottom line here is, after we're going to call up Jill, who has had to endure something that she shouldn't have to endure. These people are up at 3 or 4 o'clock every morning. The sacrifices they've made, the holidays they've missed with their families. To make Staten Island better, they have sacrificed for 145 years. Rutherford B. Hayes was the President of the United States, for God's sakes. And they're still here, and they're still strong, and they're not going anywhere, despite what other people on television have to say. And frankly, the people who defamed the Holterman family should apologize to the Holterman family for making stuff up to suit their needs.
That's it. I mean, listen, I'll tell you this story. Because this was back when I was 5 years ago. I was 25 years old, and I had attempted to start my own minor league football team in Ocean City. And that ended with me losing everything, going absolutely bankrupt. I was sleeping out of my car. Eventually that car got repossessed. Lost my phone, lost everything, like literally nothing in the bank account. However, there was a small business in Ocean City. And I remember during that time when I was trying to figure out, there's a small business restaurant in Ocean City. And I remember sitting down for breakfast. This was before I actually lost everything. I was sitting down in one of these places for breakfast. And there I ordered my omelet. I did what I had to do. And, there was the owner of the place. The owner of the place, he just drops a free. He sees I was like the first time, he's never seen me before, and this is a small town in Ocean City. He saw that. He noticed that I've never seen him before. So even though I didn't order this donut, he just comes by and drops a donut on my table for free. Completely free. He drops a donut there. And as I was getting through my meal, he and I had a conversation. He was telling me that, he's been making those donuts since this is a grown man. He said he's been making these donuts fresh every day since he was 15 years old. This restaurant has been in their business, in their family, since he was a teenager. And when you look at this bakery, I believe it's called Holterman's Bakery, right? And the calls, I didn't play it here, but the press conference goes a little deeper, where the lady who's been running the bakery for years, she was talking a little bit about how the employees show up at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning and all that. But when you look at the situation that I just described to you with that restaurant, you look at this bakery, this is what has built America. This is what has built this country. This is what makes the country so great, are these family members that build businesses to keep it in their family and to serve their particular communities. And you get a contrast. You get people who are on national TV that want to push their own narratives and create the division that we just saw, that Whoopi tried to do. And you get the business owner, the small business owner that's trying to create something strong, and you get a clash. And this is where it becomes your opportunity, your choice to figure out what side are you going to be on? Where exactly are you going to build your reputation? Who exactly do you want in your life? What exactly do you want to get out of your life? What exactly do you want to get out of the opportunity that you have to live in this country? All right. And where we're going, and this is not something that I think is going to it's not going to be something that gets solved overnight or ever, in my opinion. I don't know if it's ever going to be solved. It's always going to be a clash between the people who are clout chasing versus the people that are actually really wanting to do some quality work. The way we maneuver in this world, the way we kind of go about living in that reality, is to put ourselves around quality competition. All right, to do things that are going to lead to the self-development and actually learning things. Now, I'm saying this and I'm telling you, it's a whole lot easier said than done, because as you can see, if you're not careful, you can be pushed into a direction or not care. It's easy. I think everyone actually faces the battle within themselves every single day, to where, are you going to take the easy road, or are you going to take the road in which you actually have to learn something? And this is where parenting comes into play. This is where fatherhood comes into play. This is where it becomes your responsibility as an adult, as a business owner, anybody that has any level of authority over young people. This is where you have to show up as a parent. This is where you have to show up as an adult and really tell young people, hey, stop taking the easy road out. Taking the easy road out, taking the victim mentality out, is going to lead to nothing but a disaster for you. It's going to ruin you if you get in this habit of taking the easy road out, because it's so easy to take the easy road out. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna circle back to some college football as I close, but let me give you an example. This was, taking it back with this one. This was actually when I was in middle school. All right, I was in 8th grade. I was in 8th grade. And for those of you who don't know, my father is an architect. He's run his own architectural firm for years. The name of the company is Architectural Solutions. All right. So 8th grade, I found out that my father had a kidney failure. All right. And this kind of shook all of us. It definitely shook me, shook my mom, shook my sister, shook my aunt, it shook the entire family to know, the realities of the situation. Right. So we found out around that time, one of the things that was actually going on with me in school was I had a science fair project. Now, being that my father's an architect, the science, he cared actually more about what I was going to be doing for my science fair project than what I was actually doing on the football field. I swear to God, I can bring him on right now and he'll tell you the same thing. My father cared more about what my science fair project was rather than how many tackles that I might have gotten on the football field, or if I was starting this week or whatever it was, or whatever was going on with me football wise. And it makes sense, right? Because he's an architect, and as a man, you kind of want to see your son develop in some of the liking or being involved with some of the things that you were involved in, right? So he's literally sitting in the hospital bed because of the kidney situation. We're trying to figure out, how we're going to move forward with all this. And he asked me, he goes, "So what are you doing for the science fair project, son?" So I tell him what my plan was. I was like, so I'm gonna take a football. I'm gonna take a football. I'm gonna take a basketball. I'm gonna take a marble or some ridiculous like that. I'm gonna drop them and see which one bounces the highest. So, you got to think every year I had to deal with, the questioning from an architect about what I'm doing for the damn science fair project. So me in my head, I'm taking the easy road out. I'm like, look, let me just find some real quick because I don't want to deal with that man's mouth. So I told him, what I just told you. I'm gonna take a basketball, blow it up. I'm gonna take a football, and I'm gonna take a marble, and I'm gonna drop them and see which one bounces the highest. He goes, "What?" He goes, you're gonna take a ball that's meant to bounce up, a ball that ain't gonna bounce up, and a ball, and then see which one bounces the highest. And then he's in his hospital, like he's literally in a hospital robe, and he's reprimanding me. He's absolutely getting in my ass and saying, "Yo, why is that a challenge? What kind of challenge is that?" And he gives me the real dad look and tells me, "Why is that a challenge?" The question that sticks out in my mind to this day is him, spending at least 5 minutes for the next 5 minutes just grilling me and yelling at me, really, really making me feel like shit by asking me, "Why is that a challenge? Why is that a challenge, son? Why is that a challenge, son?" And you see the part I remember. That was maybe 13 years old when I got going to be 36 in January. And I remember this 20 years later because the question of why is that a challenge is what has helped me build the things I built today. Is what exactly am I doing to challenge myself every single day? All right. And I tell you that, I bring that to your attention because as an adult, all right, it can be very easy, especially when you're talking to young people, students, employees, nieces, nephews, whoever it is, in high school, whatever it is, whatever it is you insert it. It can be very easy for you to give them a break. It can be very easy for you to just simply allow them to take the easy road out. You get your check, you get your salary, you tenured in, and you're doing whatever it is you're doing. You go about your life and you paying your rent, you're fine, right? You're quote unquote comfortable. It can be very easy for you to allow people to take the easy road out. When you do this, ladies, like we just saw with The View and Whoopi Goldberg trying to paint a picture of trying to race bait and race hustle this, talk about this bakery as if they're race hustling and she's the victim and all that. That's what you're opening up the door for. You're opening up the door for nonsense like that to be on television. And you're not opening the door for quality competition and quality TV. All right. And that's what we're talking about today is the power's on you. The accountability factor is on you. The ability for you to actually change the narrative and remove yourself from running in the victim Olympics is actually in your control. It's actually in something that you can accomplish. Take the story that I just told you with my father, take that into consideration. All right, I mean it from my heart of hearts. This man is think about the picture for a second. All right, I'm gonna let it rest for a little bit, and then I'm gonna kind of transition into why college football, in my opinion, has become the best sport to view in terms of viewership and all that. But think about this picture before I move on to the next subject. Is you get a man, all right, a man, and my father who just found out his kidney failed. This is a life-altering thing. He just found out his kidney failed. I mean, I could tell you what it was like when we called my aunts, his sisters. I mean, they went through the roof in tears. They were hurting because my grandfather passed away from this same thing. All right. My mother's trying to figure out how she's gonna, we got my sister and myself, how she's going to move forward. We got life in the way. We just found out the leader of our household has a kidney failure, right? So he's sitting back in this hospital. We're all trying to figure it out. And then he looks at me and he asks me, "Yo, son, what you doing for your science fair project?" And he hears me give some bullshit about how you're going to take a ball, something that's meant to bounce, and a ball that's not meant to bounce, and ask yourself which one bounces higher. And then he starts grilling me and giving me like a real tongue lashing on me taking the easy road out and all that kind of stuff. And ask yourself how it is I can do what I do every day, how I can accomplish or how I can continue to produce the content that I put out there every single day, regardless of the views, regardless of the likes, regardless of who's actually listening and when they listen, regardless of what the world thinks about it. That's quality, folks. That's quality. And that's what I mean when I say you have to take it upon yourself to produce quality. The quality that we see in this world is not going to be on the onus is not going to be on somebody else. It's not going to be somebody else to blame to say, "Oh, well, that person didn't do this or that person." If you are spending your time spinning your wheels and talking with that kind of rhetoric, you are losing opportunities by the second. The moment the people that actually matter, right? The people that actually have resources and have things that they can be helping you out with, if you meet them halfway and they want to work with you and all that kind of stuff, the people that actually want to help in this world, if they hear you talking in terms of how much you're a victim, they're just checking you off the list. Like, look, that's the person I don't want to work with. That's the person I ain't fucking with. That's the person that I'm not, that is all about me, is making everything about me. The same way Whoopi just said that we just saw. Whoopi, they went and served me. They're not going to make the cupcakes for me. And then she tries to pull back from what she said. Oh, well, it's from my mom. And she tries to make it sound a little better, even though she knows what she's already done, her initial statement, all that stuff. We got to do better. The people in this world, the people in the Move Swiftly world, the people that come into my company or work that I work with, the people that have been on my show, all the people that I've connected with over the past couple of years, this is the mentality. This is the mentality that we want to have. We want to have the mentality that my father had and said, hey, anybody that's going to be representing me, anybody that's going to be around me, anybody that's going to be taught by me is going to be about accountability and making sure that they don't put no BS out there and that they're always challenging themselves, always trying to get better. All right. And this leads me to, and I'll close out the show soon, but it leads me to why college football is set up in the way it's set up. All right. Greatest game, the most entertaining game, period. All right. I'm diehard Redskins fan. Love me some NFL. I do. But college football, in terms of viewership, in terms of, maybe I could be a little biased because I actually played college ball myself, been a part of it, been a part of a high school, very big time. I'll be talking about my high school later on in the week. Shout out to the Good Counsel Falcons. See y'all got another game against the Math in that championship. But it comes to college football, the things that I've seen and how it has changed over the years, it leads to everything that it provides, let's say not leads to, but it provides a incredible example in terms of what I'm discussing today when it comes to how do we more so develop quality television for our kids? How do we make it so quality things are being fed to our young people? Because it's incredibly challenging. Like when I'm talking from the perspective of a man who grew up with a father that was up my ass about every single decision, grew up in a 2-parent household. It was a very structured environment. And there's so few especially if we're talking about young Black males. There's so few of us that have that father in the house that would challenge me and call me out whenever I'm looking to take the easy road out. There's so few of us that have that, that I take it upon myself to say, hey, it's important that I share this information and share the stories and share the things that I learned. But when it comes to college football, it has created such a great example of this over the years. So we're clear, all right, because the playoffs when it comes to college football. I'm recording this, like I said, November 18th, 2024, and always at this time of year, there's a lot of discussion about who's going to be in the natty, who's going to be the college football playoffs and all that. And I've seen the system change so much. All right. When I was coming up, there was a BCS system, bowl championship series, the rankings meant everything. The computers generated this, and this was the best team. And they didn't even have a national championship. It was just the major bowls, which was the Rose Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and I believe it was the Peach Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and the Rose Bowl and Rose Bowl. So they had all sorts of systems where the sponsors would sponsor this bowl game, and there's all this bowl games, and then they actually added the national championship game. And then after they added the national championship game, eventually people complained, and they got a 14 playoff system. All right, now the 14 playoff system, I think was a pretty good system, because now they can say, hey, we're going to keep these sponsors of this bowl games. We're going to keep these sponsors happy, the ones that throw out and write huge checks for these games, right? We're going to keep them happy because we're going to call the semifinals of these games, we're going to call them bowl games, but it's going to be a playoff system, and then they're going to be able to clash and make it to the natty, win the national championship and all that, right? So obviously it kept a lot of viewers engaged, and it made it so people were like, okay, who's going to be in? Who's going to be in? But the issue is that it was only 4 teams. It was only 4 teams. So when you see teams competing, you're like, oh, well, that team plays. And this is why I actually started off today's show with what conference is going to be in, because the conference and the level of competition, the strength of schedule, and all that became a huge, huge factor on who was actually going to be in and who was not going to be in, right? So this is what happened. This is why we currently see the 12-team playoff system the way it's set up now. I believe, personally, what happened 2 years ago in the 2022 playoffs. Yes, the year before last. So the 2022 playoffs, what happened during those playoffs is ultimately what made it so college football had to go to a 12-team playoff system. What happened with this, and the truth that came out in the game, all right, the truth that came out when we watch these games, the truth that came out made it so everything that I'm talking about today, which in terms of, again, we're talking about quality competition and how that quality competition leads to quality TV, which leads to more quality people and quality ideas, quality businesses, quality folks who are more so craving quality versus, victim mentality, right? Here was the 4 teams. Here was the 4 teams that were picked in the 2022 playoffs. All right. I'm going to make this is important for you guys to know, because as business owners, it's important that we think about our level of competition. It's important that we think about the quality and the people that are consuming our work and what it is we're putting out there. Right. So this was a huge thing. This was actually a really, really big deal, because Ohio State had gotten throttled by my Michigan Wolverines. All right, my Michigan Wolverines beat that ass. And there was a lot of talk about why Alabama needed to be in the playoffs as opposed to Ohio State or TCU. And TCU just so happened to play, I believe at the time they were playing in I believe it was the Big 12, if I'm not mistaken. They were playing in the Big 12, and they just happened to play in the Big 12, right? So the way everything turned out, let me get this straight here. The way everything turned out was Georgia went on to win that national championship that year, right? Georgia went on to do their thing. And let me just show you real quick. I'm going to show you the scores of the semifinal game versus the national championship game. All right. So the score The national championship game against Georgia and Ohio State that year, you see it in 2022. It's 41-42. Easily, right? Easily the most entertaining game of that playoffs. And there was so much talk. These SEC folks would not let up. They would not let up. They say, well, Alabama needs to be in it. It's not fair because they play in the SEC and all this kind of stuff. To me, it got to be so much talk to the point where even me, as a diehard Michigan fan, I was actually low-key hoping Ohio State tapped that ass. I couldn't watch because, we had just lost to TCU, and I was kind of I was just incoherent that night. It was New Year. I actually remember because it was New Year's. It was the day before New Year's, and we had just lost to TCU, and I had too many Long Islands, and I could not believe we lost to TCU. But that's another story for another day. But I was hoping low-key as I was watching the highlights that Ohio State actually did beat Georgia. And I realized that it took a missed field goal. If I'm not mistaken, it was a missed field goal that propelled Georgia to the national championship that year. So again, obviously Georgia moves on. They literally squeak by. And now you get the Big Ten folks saying, okay, you guys bitched and moaned about Alabama not being in, but it took a 1-point victory from the quote unquote Ohio State team that was so bad. It took them, they only lost by 1 point. So there was a lot of morning. How are you? Right. There was a lot of discussion about, you see, Alabama isn't that good, or the SEC isn't that much better than the Big Ten and all that kind of stuff. There's all that rhetoric out there, right? So here's what happened. Here was the score in the national championship game. I'll show you. You're reading it right. 65-7, dog. 65-7. A straight up beat down. A good old fashioned Georgia football. And what was crazy is, again, this is Texas, quote unquote, Texas football. This is, the people out there in Texas think they invented damn football. That, you're talking football. To get a beat down 65-7 in a national championship game. Again, and we're talking quality TV here. When we're talking about quality TV, there needs to be quality competition or people are not watching. I remember watching that like, golly, like people turned it off, they went and watched it, whatever. I could only imagine the folks that had to pay attention to the ratings and, the viewership and all that, and they had to watch it and they're like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. So it turns out that they were right. They needed to put Alabama in there instead of TCU, or they just need to put a team in there that was actually able to compete with it, because there was no reason that, and this isn't the first time that they made this mistake. This isn't the first time that the NCAA made this mistake. I remember there was actually Notre Dame that was in the year before, if I'm not mistaken, and back when it was still the BCS system, Notre Dame went up against Alabama and got that ass throttled again. And, the bottom line to this, the reason I'm making these points to you and the reason I'm explaining all this to you is because, again, provide an example of when you're talking about quality TV, it's sort of a metaphor here in terms of the quality in which you are consuming every day. It's a metaphor towards the quality in which for the people that you pay attention to and who you have in your life and what you're all about, what you want your ideals to be all about, what you want your family to be about, what you want your business to be about. It's kind of a metaphor here. And if you want the things that you have in your life to be quality, the things that you're learning every day to be quality, it's going to require, it's going to require you to compete with quality. You want to compete with worthy opponents. You want to be around folks that are just as good, better than you, that can push you in certain ways, that can keep you on your toes, keep you on your P's and Q's. So that back and forth, again, boxing training, you're able to really go at it back and forth with people and really spar and, duck, high, jab, all that kind of stuff is going to lead to an incredibly fulfilling and rewarding life. All right. That needs to be the mentality. That is, I know I spoke for close to 50 minutes. So I'm going to close you guys out soon. But of all the things that I've said today and everything we broke down, the bottom line to it, the takeaway that we need to be having, the takeaway is asking ourselves and moving forward, moving forward from today, asking yourself, especially as we approach this new year and the holiday season, is asking yourself, am I really competing? Am I really out here trying to compete with the best? Do I really want to get around the folks who are quote unquote so great at what they do? Am I really working and moving in a direction where I'm able to really go against the folks that have it, man, that have it? That is the mentality. And when you develop that mentality, I'm telling you, man, when you develop the mentality of I'm going to go out and compete against the best, I don't want to be around folks that are trying to run in the victim Olympics. I don't want to be around folks who are just simply getting by or want to be comfortable and all that. I want to be around folks that are one of the reasons that I compete so much in 5Ks and in 10Ks and in half marathons, still currently training for a full marathon. The reason I run every morning is because my mindset is about competing. And again, I was blessed enough to be around or grow up with a two-parent household. I have a father in the household that would always be calling me out on my shit and making sure I'm always challenging myself. So that's pretty much today's show, man. And I'll be, as we get into the playoffs and as we move forward through football season, again, this is one of my easily my favorite time of year because football is really getting ramped up and we really start to see who's about that action. It's really the time of year that I get excited. I'll have more on this, and as you come into my world, as you bring it into my world, it's important that what we get over here in the Move Swiftly world is we get a huge dose of accountability and we just love the competition, man. Love the competition. Really love to go out and compete and get better. So all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm about, all the work I'm doing, it's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. Also, it might be ready by the time you hear this, but the Patreon link, there'll be a Patreon link that'll be posted somewhere around here where you can, dive into my world a little more heavier. I'll have exclusive content that'll lead to a lot of great things with business. You'll get a complimentary workshop, Move Swiftly workshop. If you're a business owner listening in, you definitely want to take advantage of that. And let me give you the website one more time. It's makeyourmove.com. It's makeyourmove.com. It's a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.